Thank you for the organizers. This is a wonderful opportunity. It's always fun for Seth and I to share a podium together because we've worked together in many ways for a number of years. So thank you. That was a beautiful handoff because I'm going to be talking about stress and trying to give you in the first part of this talk, what I'm going to be doing is basically trying to scare you a little bit, and in the second part telling you, I think, what we really ought to be doing. So what Seth has basically told you is poverty is not good for you. Well, there we go. And that's the end. Yay, thank you. Poverty's not good for you, but you know, that's the kind of thing that if you were to tell your grandmother, she would say, and for this we're funding you? The exciting part, or the reason this is news, is that in the last decade or so, we've begun to understand that poverty is not good for you because it actually gets under your skin. It changes your biology at the molecular and cellular and systems level. And that actually is news. And that's part of why this discussion has sort of moved either up or to the side a level and has gotten a number of people interested who weren't interested when it just wasn't good for you. Because after all, you should be able to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. And that's what's wrong. But if it's really changing your biology, maybe we need to think more about what we're looking at. And actually, this is a new talk for me. So that's the end of my talk until I see where my slides are going. Seth and I said to each other, we're giving talks we've never given before, right? How dumb was this? Worked for you, Seth. It'll work for me, too. There we go. Thank you so much. Well, are we up? We're up. Okay, there's a little funky thing on the side. It's all gone. Great. This conversation has actually changed the way that people are talking about health in this country. This comes from the National Scientific Council on the Developing Child. We're the ones you can blame for the term toxic stress. This is an article that Jack Shonkoff, Tom Boyce, and Bruce McKeown put in JAMA a few years ago, talking about a reorganization of our thinking about where health disparities come from. And in this model, early adversities mediated by toxic stress, environmental exposures, malnutrition, that whole list that Seth put up there, get embedded biologically and over time create this cumulative burden that disrupts physiology, neurodevelopment, immune system, metabolic, neuroendocrine, cardiovascular, which ultimately influences such things as, and I'm going to go from the bottom, educational achievement, health-threatening behaviors, leading to, in many respects, disease and disorders, and the biggie, you don't live as long. Forget the fact you're not earning as much, you actually don't live as long. But as Seth indicated, and this is where we're going to go, you don't leap magically from poverty to these outcomes. There's process involved. We're developmentalist guys, many of us, and if you're not when you came in, you got to sign that thing by the time you leave the door. Developmental. There's process involved. And so there are going to be things associated with poverty that are actually, in a sense, the active ingredients. And when we're talking about stress, and I've got this crazy allostatic load thing, I'm going to describe what that means and why I'm using it. It's different adverse conditions that you're experiencing that trigger this allostatic mechanism that is involved in getting you to those outcomes. Not the only thing, but a critical thing. And development matters, timing matters, dose, duration, and your genotypes, all going to be in this story. So why are we talking allostasis and I'm not just saying stress? Concept of allostasis, and we can blame Bruce McKeown really for it. He tries to blame it on two other people, but most of us have never heard of those two other people, so it really is Bruce. Bruce McKeown's idea that allostasis is a better way to think about stress because allostasis means maintaining stability through change. And when our viability is threatened, either for psychological reasons or coming up, cold stress, heat stress, lack of food, etc., the body mounts a response. It activates systems to help you withstand that experience. And the systems that you activate are attempting to achieve stability maintain your stability despite the fact that you're confronting this threat to your viability. It comes at a cost, though. Allostatic mediating systems burn up a lot of metabolic resources, a lot of biological resources. So if you have to do this a lot, there is this wear and tear on the body that is called allostatic load. Now, here's a scary slide. It's also, I blame that on Bruce, because it isn't just one system. Even though my favorite system, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal system sitting there at the top, is probably the core mediating allostatic system in many respects. These other systems are also involved, and they interact with one another, they affect one another, and then Bruce has this thing that he just loves to trumpet. He says non-linearly, and people go, yeah, what does that mean? What it means is it's not lockstep. So just because you get an increase in cortisol, you're not going to get a same increase in adrenaline or change in the parasympathetic. These interact in sort of non-linear ways, and there's a Goldilocks component to this, that too little, too much, not so good. There's a right amount. So it's just not from low to high. People don't have to say, gee, I've got so much cortisol. Well, some of it's sort of good, guys. The other thing that Bruce emphasizes, and really Seth has emphasized too, the key allostatic mediator is our brain. All of these systems are orchestrated through various places in the brain, not necessarily consciously. You do not, if you are out cold because you got knocked out in a car accident and you are bleeding out, you do not have to wake up and become conscious and say, I'm bleeding out. That's really scary. No, your body responds to the fact that you're bleeding out and mounts this kind of defensive process to try to keep you alive. So it's the brain, but not necessarily the prefrontal cortex always processing. There are different pathways into activation of these systems. And this is my developmental version of Bruce's model, because what we have is an infant brain coordinating behavioral and physiological responses, but also being influenced in its development by what it's had to activate. And we are now understanding that much of that has to do with changing the way genes are regulated, potentially throughout the lifespan, to create this model of experience stress shaping your brain. Now, I like to say that nature doesn't hate you. So this is not a process of making sure that you cannot survive or that you're going to have a horrible life. This is evolved. These processes evolved to help keep you alive. But there's always cost-benefit trade-offs in life. And some of what is happening here may well keep you alive and keep you functioning. But one of the costs is you're not going to be really good in even mildly dangerous situations of sitting back and reflecting about, gee, what do I know about lions? Oh, they're very interesting. They live on the savannah. No, you're going to run like heck when you even vaguely sense there might be threat, which Seth has actually shown us with young children who have experienced physical abuse, being able to detect facial expressions of anger at the slightest nuance. Okay, so now that I've sort of shown you that, we're going to go to the HPA axis because this is where I live and breathe. Also, it is an important system because the steroid hormones that it produces affect almost every organ and tissue system in the body. And the brain is a major target of glucocorticoids. Unlike adrenaline, which can't get to the brain, cortisol, there are loads of receptors for this in the brain. It's a gene transcription factor. It regulates the activation of numerous genes, many of which are involved in brain growth and development. So the regulation of this system is really important for healthy, normal brain development. You need glucocorticoids. They actually will help your brain develop, but you need them at the right levels, at the right time, in coordination with the right other things, and so on. So HPA axis is really important, but it ain't a simple system. It's simple to measure. This is both the bane and the joy of my existence, right? Because I can get measures of cortisol, as can anyone else, by taking saliva from children. Actually, a little tricky early on, but once the spit has started to flow, this ain't so hard to do. Or more recently, from snipping a bit of hair. Saliva will give you a dynamic measure, You take it multiple times, it will change. Hair is a nice cumulative index of what has been produced over the last X period of time. So we can get these measures. But I want to tell you that measuring it well is far from a simple proposition. And one of the things that my laboratory has been doing recently, where are we at? 5, 10, 10? Okay. Was that 2 minutes ago or just about now? Good. Sorry, I got to keep this one on track or I'm in deep trouble. One of the things that my lab has been doing is reading a bunch of work and asking ourselves, given really tough populations to sample, right, where you have to make compromises to get your measures, at what point are you compromising so much that the measures you're getting are just garbage and you shouldn't bother putting the money into it? This is a really big question if we want to measure stress in exactly these high-risk populations where, you just can't do certain things. So the question of how much resources, when is it, whatever. And especially for these populations where people want to say, oh, we're going to measure 3,000 kids. We can take one spit sample. When should we take it? And the answer is save your money. Also, one of the things I do want to scare you all about a little bit is this is a very complicated system. What you're actually seeing here are little parts of the brain. Don't worry. You don't have to memorize this. And all the different pathways into activation of the system. You can activate it through many different pathways. And all the different pathways involved in turning the system off or inhibiting it. It's unbelievably beautifully complicated. And the reason it's complicated is that nature, evolution, doesn't want us, and by the way, all these allostatic mediating systems look complicated like this. Different adversities, different challenges require bringing on different patterns of these allostatic mediators, right? This is not made to be psychologist friendly. Or as I like to say, nature never put these systems in the body for psychologists to measure, to find out how stressed you were. That's not part of the evolutionary pressure. Cold stress, heat stress, fear of being physically harmed, worrying about giving a talk, different patterns of needs your body has, different patterns of activations of these systems. So it was never going to be simple, right? And that's my part of trying to scare you. Given how complicated it is, there are papers out there, although Seth said, man, stress is the thing that seems to be the mediator between poverty and whatever. When you start measuring different stress systems, there are beautiful meta-analyses out there that saying sometimes cort's higher, sometimes cort's lower, sometimes it's not different as a function of economic class. It's all over the board. And I think that's absolutely true, but in part because it's not being measured well in many of those studies, and because we're measuring different parts of the system. I'm going to show you 2 slides that look nice and consistent, and then I'm going to go on to talk about what I think we really have to do for kids to understand the key mediators of poverty to outcome. So this is a study, this is Gary Evans' study. Many of you know this study. This is a study where Evans in upstate New York around Cornell picked up a rural sample of kids who were poor to middle class, picked them up when they were 9 years old, has been following them over their development. They're 24, well actually 24 when this was published, they're older than that now. And at 24 he brought them in and he ran a Trier social stress test. People are more terrified of public speaking than they are of death in some cases, right? It's one of the big scares, and it's one of our best ways of activating stress biology in an ethical way. So this is hello, that's a good laugh. So this is a Trier social stress test, and what you will see is the middle and low income kids actually didn't show a different pattern of increase to decrease. What was different for them is that the lower income kids had larger anticipatory stress response to this situation. Okay? It's just one finding. We do have one experimental study of changing poverty levels and changing glucocorticoids. And it was work that I did with Leah Fernald. Actually, Leah did all the work, and I got to help her write the paper. It's a great pattern. There is a program in Mexico called Oportunidades. It's a program of, it's a cash transfer program. For those of you who know what this is, you have to do certain things and then you get the money. And it was being rolled out across Mexico, in rural Mexico, in some of the poorest areas of Mexico. As they rolled this system out, you had kids in the program who were born into the program and kids whose towns would be in the program later. And that's the comparison that we have here. To assess, they did all sorts of assessment of these kids and these families. To do it, you would have teams of researchers coming to these little rural towns wearing white coats and carrying their stuff. And they would go door to door to the families that were in the program, and all the families in town were in the program. And they do their measurements. So you can imagine I'm a 3-year-old, and the chaos and the excitement, and my parents don't know they're coming. They don't announce it, and boom, they show up at your door. So what we were taking was glucocorticoid measures of saliva, cortisol, 15 minutes after arrival, and then through interaction, once they got the consent, and then through interactions with the child, and then recovery. And what you can see here, I can't point, it's very hard without using a pointer, but if you look over on the left, there were really no differences in the peak or the end. There's a lot of variation. But again, sort of like the other one, it was how much of a reaction you immediately showed. So we're seeing that, you increase the family's income, you change behaviors, because it comes together, and you are actually lowering the stress levels of kids growing up under those conditions. These are 3 to 6-year-olds. Okay, having said that, I now want to go on to why I think neither of these studies is our answer, or any of the studies that we've got. And that's because we need to think about what those mediators are. And I'm going to argue, golly, that really got messed up in the transfer, that the critical mediator that we need to be worried about is the family's functioning. Yeah. And this was brought home to me in a study that I did with Ann Maston. It was actually J.J. Coutuli, who some of you may remember, and Kristen Wick, 2 graduate students, working together in Ann's work at People Serving People, homeless shelter in downtown Minneapolis. They wanted to take cortisol add it to the stuff that Ann was doing. They took 3 samples, these kids were 4 to 7, samples on 3 mornings from each kid. So they got 3 mornings of cortisol when the kids came to breakfast, so they knew what time, they knew when the kids had woken up, they were able to average, 1 sample is never enough, and then they looked at it in comparison to variations, even in a homeless shelter. You have families with fairly wide variations in their economic resources, and you can see on the left the things that were indicated there. And then negative life events, and those negative life events are almost all with the family. Right? If you read down that list, the family is functioning or the family is badly disrupted. So we looked at these, pitted them against each other in predicting the morning cortisol, and this is what they saw. It didn't matter what sex you were, your gender or your age. Time since wake up mattered. Good. That shows you're measuring it right. Socioeconomic risk, nada. That variation, nada. Lifetime negative events in the family, big time. The other person I look to for real support on this is a marvelous fellow by the name of Mark Flynn. Mark is a biological anthropologist. He has been doing research in a Caribbean island for like eons, 20 years. Every summer he goes, it's a hard life, and lives in the village and walks the village on a different pathway morning and night, so that he is collecting spit from every kid in the village, morning and night, day after day after day after day, year after year. He's got more saliva. I'm serious. It's really amazing. But because he can do that, he creates a kid's own levels. He knows that kid's median or mean and that kid's standard deviations, and I'll show you in a minute. And he can look at what bounces glucocorticoids out of that range. And what he knows is material wealth in this village, which varies, nothing. What matters is cortisol will increase from 100 to 2,000% as a function of family trauma, conflict, and change, meaning punishment, serious quarreling, parental loss, etc. And kids' court is lower in families where there's calmness, affectionate contact, and support. This is one example. This is a little girl. It's 2 months of her data. We've got her mean and her standard deviation. You can see that almost all of her values fall right where they should because, of course, he's calculated it too. But on July 17th, at 9:17 in the evening, the mother had, furious at her daughter, chased her with a broom and threatened to kick her out of the house. She's elevated for a while, and then for a while, a few days later, she suppresses, and then she gets back. So that's an example of what we're talking about. So we're going to focus on relationships. How much time do I have left, kiddo kitty? About 20 minutes. Super. And we're going to talk about them. I just showed you as sources of stress. But I also want to really focus on how powerful a social buffering role they play, because the two are linked very much. If your social buffering system is damaged by all of these other things, you are in terrible shape as a kid. And it is a political year, so we'll go back to Clinton and say, you know, it's the economy stupid. No, in our field, it's relationships stupid. If we don't get how powerful relationships are for children, we aren't going to understand how poverty gets under the skin. And that's the argument that I'm making. Poverty produces allostatic load and poor physical and mental health, in large part, though not solely, through its impact on the capacity of families, parents, to serve their stress regulatory and stress buffering role. And we think, I mean, this is around attachment, but it's understanding and increasingly understanding how deeply embedded in our biology that those attachment relationships are. They have privileged access, we're arguing, to the child's neurobiology as safety signals and as stress buffering agents. And then I'm going to argue that this is a childhood event, and puberty is going to shift it. And in fact, by seeing it shift in puberty, we understand how powerful it is in the young child. And I'm going to go to research. We're going to talk rats for a moment. Wonderful research by this woman, Regina Sullivan. I'm going to tell you this story because, not because we're like the rodent exactly, but to show you how nature can jump through a variety of interesting hoops to work with development under how important contact with these attachment figures are. So Regina's a rat lady. She studies rat pups. She studies these itty tiny babies. Rats are born, they can't see. They don't have any fur. They can't thermoregulate. They're born very young relative to us. And they have to latch onto the mom's nipple to get milk. And you find the mother, if you can't see, by smell. So mom and odor sort of think are sort of the same thing. Mom goes out of the nest. She eats different things. She comes back. Her mouth stinks a little differently. And oftentimes in the real world, you'd be living with other rat mommies around. So these babies are really good at learning odor mom pairings, right? That's one of the things they do really, really well. So Regina asked, if I take a novel odor like peppermint and I shock the baby, any self-respecting older rat would learn to avoid that smell, right? This is fear conditioning. But in the baby, they approach the smell. It helps make them more interested in getting to the smell. Nature has figured out how to override, in a sense, fear conditioning so that who's going to hurt you in the nest? Only the mother, right? So even, and any conditions when you are in pain, you approach. Okay? Now, and she's learned that what's happening is the amygdala, which is part of that fear conditioning system, is unhooked from this learning system in the very young rodent. Now, she asked, what happens when we get to an older rodent? I think of this as like a school-age rat. Okay? A school-age rat, odor shock pairing, learns to avoid the odor. Not dumb anymore, right? Unless the mother isn't present at the same time, in which case they approach the odor. And the difference is the presence of the mother lowers the stress hormone response to the shock and keeps the amygdala unhooked from the learning. Okay? So this is an amazing mechanism to keep the infant in contact with the mother even under conditions where the mother may be producing pain. Okay? We, of course, are not rodents. So our question is, it's a cute little picture, isn't it? Our question is, what does our system look like? What developmentally does it look like? Now, I've actually been asking this question for a long time. Regina's stuff is newer than my initial work, though it gives it more meaning. And I've been relying on the medical community for a long time to hurt babies for me in ways that I can't do. And we know from some of my earliest work that when you go in and get those big shots, one in each thigh, as a baby, repeatedly, initially you show big responses and they get less and less. And we know why that is, and that's not part of this talk. And then right around the time you form that attachment relationship where you're starting to follow and be distressed at separation, suddenly, on average, kids are not elevating at all on average when they get these shots. But they're crying their heads off. So we started asking, is this social buffering? Is this our version of social buffering? Now, if I take the baby away, or excuse me, take the mother away, I get a stress response to separation. So the only way I can really look at it in humans is by saying, does the security of that attachment relationship reflect how strong or leaky a buffering system that the mother provides or the attachment figure provides? And to do that, I brought kids into my laboratory and I scared them myself. So clowns are a perfect source of terror. And these are 18-month-olds, and we had clowns and a puppet show and all sorts of things. And some of the kids loved it, and some of the kids were frightened by it. And we knew their attachment, relationship quality. And what you can see under my more scared kids over there is if you're with someone you're securely attached to, you are showing fear. You're hiding behind your mother's skirts. You are frightened, but you are not activating. But if you're in an insecure relationship, your system is producing a response. We know this happens in the real world, too, because I had a chance with Lilo Honert to study what happens to kids in Berlin when they start childcare for the first time. Now, Berlin, fabulous family leave policies. We can go on and on about that. But the kids are home with the mother for the first year or 15 months. Then you go into childcare. Childcare is these fabulous center-based cares supported by the government, and you're supposed to bring your child, and for the first 4 or 5 days, you're supposed to be with your child, adapt them before you leave them for the first time. We have their cortisol levels and what you can see, and we know their attachment security. So even these securely attached kids, it's pretty arousing to go into a childcare center, right? Not everything's novel. You're bringing on some physiology to help you deal with that, but nothing like the kids who are insecurely attached to the mother who's with them. Very leaky buffer. Now mom leaves, everybody's reacting, so it's not like you've ingrained this thing and now you don't need her, but you're only a toddler, you need her there, and then you adapt to childcare. So it's happening in my lab, it's happening at doctor's offices, it's happening. It's happening. We started asking recently, with Regina's stuff coming along and seeing developmental changes in her work, is how long does it last? Is this something we're going to have for the rest of our lives? We know we still call our parents if we have access to them when things are bad. But are we gaining the same bennies from their capacity to be around us? You guys, you're in trouble. So we know about infancy and early childhood. What about middle childhood, and what happens into adolescence? Well, here's where I'm actually showing Seth's data. Thank you, Seth. Fabulous study. So he and his colleague Zeltzer a while back did this marvelous study where they used the Trier Social Stress Test. They brought in 7 to 12-year-old girls. This was actually about oxytocin. I'm not presenting his oxytocin data. You can talk about that later. This is his cortisol stuff. And you gave your talk, and then when you were done, immediately, you either went to your mom and were with her and you had full access to her, whatever you would normally do, or you got to call her on the phone, or you were with a nice experimenter. And the top line there is a beautiful Trier cortisol response. That's what we normally see. That's with the nice experimenter. The bottom line, boy, as soon as you got to your mom, it was shutting that system off. Just boom. Even calling her on the phone helped, hearing her voice. These are 7 to 12-year-old girls. So we asked, okay, forever, or what happens at adolescence? This is data, Cam Hostenar, Anna Johnson, two of my students. They did a study where they had 9 and 10-year-olds and 15 and 16-year-olds. Unlike Seth's study, we had them with the mother during the 5-minute preparation for the speech. Remember, anticipatory stuff is huge for activating the HPA axis. And you can see that with the 9 and 10-year-olds, if I'm with my parent for that 5 minutes and then they leave and I go give the talk and everything else without them, I've completely blocked the response. But they're showing a nice normal response if they prepare with a stranger. My 15 and 16-year-olds makes no never mind. Question. Is it that you're getting older and we all know, my son had us slow the car down as he approached middle school. We weren't supposed to really stop. He would jump out and we would drive on. And definitely don't wave, don't turn, don't act like we were even there. Is it that, or is there something else going on? And we tried to pit age, which we thought mapped some of this other, versus puberty. And the best time to do that, my developmentalists, is like when they're 11 to 14, right? There are 11-year-olds who look like they're 20, and there are 14-year-olds that look like they're 8. And by carefully selecting, we had the age range and different pubertal levels. And this is work that was done by Jenna Doom and Adrian Van Zomerdome. And what we were able to pinpoint is that most of it is puberty related. So controlling for age here. The top graph, by the way, we did this continuously. This is just for visual. The top graph are the kids who are in pre to early puberty, right? And they look like those 9, 10-year-olds, right? With the mom, no response. Without the mom, with a stranger, a response. And the bottom graph isn't quite perfect, but they should have elevated, but they aren't that far along. We get no difference between mom and stranger. So it looks like whatever's triggering this is a pubertal shift. Now, I've been talking hormones. Part of what I wanted you to get is how powerfully we are organized around contact with those attachment figures during this period of time. And it's not just the HPA axis. Other components of our processing of defense matter too, and for this I'm turning to work by a former student of mine. I really can't, she's just brilliant. She was brilliant before she came, and I didn't mess her up. But Nim Tottenham, who has been, she's an amygdala-centric person. We all have our favorite parts of the nervous system. Hers, I do corticoids, she does the amygdala. And she's really paid a lot of attention to Regina's work. And she's been very interested in whether the way the amygdala reacts to mother and stranger stimuli changes over development. And this is a study that she did. Her student Guy was the first author on this. They brought children and adolescents into the lab. They showed them pictures of, while they were in the scanner, of their mother or another kid's mother. Okay, these people look young because I couldn't steal pictures off the internet, so I had to use ones I'd paid for. The one on the right actually is my daughter-in-law. She's gorgeous. At any rate, so these moms were probably a little older looking than this. What you see is, in terms of the amygdala's response, if you subtract the stranger response to the stranger from the response to the parent, what you see is a negative score for kids. In other words, their amygdala, their fear reaction, salience reaction center, was responding more to the stranger. The medial prefrontal cortex has connectivity with the amygdala that allows it, in many cases, if it's activated, to be able to suppress activation of the amygdala. And so what you're seeing here is, on the amygdala connectivity, actually being able to look at your mother is bringing on a more mature connectivity, allowing you to regulate this emotion center better. At adolescence, it doesn't matter, mother or stranger. It's not that they can't regulate themselves. It's like they're able to use visual images of people equally well, whether it's their mom or somebody else. It may be that their capacity to use people is spreading beyond the family. So, last point here, what happens if you don't have an opportunity? I'm at 40 yet? Am I okay? Good. If you don't have opportunity to really form this attachment relationship early in life. We know from work that Betty Carlson has done with us that even shortly after arriving in the family, even if they're 1.5 to 3 years of age, kids from orphanages will form attachments to their new parents. And in many respects, they look very secure. Not all, but in many. So it's not that you can't form an attachment relationship, but are you able to get the same bennies from those attachment relationships that kids who had that opportunity early in life? Is there a sensitive period, in essence, for the parent moving into your hypothalamus? Is another way to think about it, moving into your neurobiology. And this, again, is my last data slide. What you see on the left is what I showed you before. This is Cam and Anna's 9 and 10-year-olds. Okay? What you see on the right are children adopted from orphanages. Average age they get to the family is around 2 or a little bit before. They're 9 and 10 years of age. They've been with their adoptive families for many, many years. They look pretty much like they're functioning reasonably well. But if you look at that dotted black line, that is your response when your mother helped you prepare. It looks like the response of kids who prepared with strangers, right? You're getting nothing from it. The prepare with the stranger has much the same line. We tried to make that come out. It may be just a fluke. It almost looks like they're showing a separation reaction to having to go with the stranger. But it doesn't come out statistically. Basically, there's no difference for these kids. So, question becomes, okay, conclusions. Poverty, we think, operates through mediators. In childhood, we're making the argument that the functionality of the family attachment system as a stress buffer and as a safety signal is perhaps the most important mediator. And if that's disturbed and disrupted, and if it works for the other side as a source of terror and threat, that's really a massive impact on your stress biology and then following on how your brain and your body is developing. Early experiences, a really important question, may shape the capacity of these figures to be able to access these fear and stress regulatory circuitry. We need to understand that. And our argument that understanding the role of attachment figures in mediating poverty effects is going to be really critical to understanding how poverty is getting under the skin. It's not like it's the only pathway, but we argue that for children, it's a really, really critical pathway to understand. And with that, I have 1,000,001 people to thank for the work that has been done there for so many years. And you will actually find Seth's name up. Oh, and maybe I took it out. No, Seth is up there as well. So thank you very, very much.